Hey, whatever you think you need to worry about, don't worry about it. We're flipping the script on anxiety and embracing the mantra of letting go. Life is too short to stress about small stuff, and we got the vibes to prove it. We choose the perception of our reality. Whether you're sipping a pina colada or conquering the concrete jungle, it's time to upgrade your reality and live your best worry free life. So let's get into it. Sakpase! Welcome to the Unfiltered Limin podcast. Join us as we reflect on our personal journeys and share our insights, experiences, and stories. From food to music, language to customs, we explore what it means to straddle two cultures and find a sense of belonging in both. Whether you're a first generation Caribbean American, a seasoned veteran, or simply curious about the rich tapestry of cultures that make up the Caribbean diaspora, this podcast is for you. We are your hosts, Bertide, the Haitian sensation,
Lisa, the Dominica diva.
No one's talking, so let's get unfiltered. Yeah. So let's get into it. Let's get into the episode today.
Get into it. Yeah.
Yo, what I mean in this life. Hey everyone, welcome back. We're going into today's episode
Mhm.
with a clash of Caribbean cool and an American audacity when it comes to embracing the past, living in the present, and tackling the future head on.
Yeah, that's right. We've got some fantastic quotes and sayings to discuss, compare, and maybe even get a few laughs out of it. So let's jump in. Let's jump into it.
So, the famous thing about past, present, and future. In the Caribbean, we've got this saying that goes, yesterday is history, yesterday is the past, tomorrow is a mystery, and today is a gift. That is what is called the present. How does that stack up against American perspective? I think it stacks up about the
Um,
same. I think like when it
mhm.
comes to the past, present, and future, I think culturally that I feel like whoever I've met, whether they were Caribbean, American, African, all of that, I think that's a common thing that we share as the human being race is that tomorrow is, yesterday was the past, today be completely in the present of what, and then you can't control what the future. So I think that I would say is for me, disclaimer, everything
Mhm.
we say is about our experiences, is universal.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that, definitely. Well, in the US, we've got this forward thinking spirit.
Hmm.
There's a quote by Abraham Lincoln
Hmm.
that says, "The best way to predict the future is to create it." So it's all about making things happen. And that's definitely the American vibe.
Hmm.
And with that being said, just, the hustle mentality, the having multiple jobs, the, I hate to say it, like trying to keep up with the Joneses. I mean,
And you said that's the
but
American or Caribbean?
I think it's the American.
I would say I think that's a human thing because in my Caribbean
Hmm.
background, I feel like Caribbeans, because they come to this country, they work hard and they do make things happen. They keep their head down. So for me, I would disagree with that only because I feel like Caribbeans, they really tackle on hustling and busing to be able to help family
Yeah.
members and things like that. So I would say that that may
Hmm.
be universal too, and just if you got, you know what I'm saying, if you got that spirit to make things happen, you're gonna, yeah.
Yes, but also too in the same breath, there are Caribbeans also too that have the mindset that they're just gonna sit back and everything's irie and
Mhm.
we're not gonna worry about it today, we'll worry about it tomorrow.
Mhm.
So I feel like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's also a Caribbean mentality as well. But I think also too that saying also comes because like it's the American dream to accomplish all these
Mhm.
things and work hard. But you're right. The Caribbean mentality too is to keep your nose down and work hard as well.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
And I think So based on what you said, yes, I think you're I could see that, but I also feel like because in the Caribbean they might be more present in the present. That's why they're irie. So they're gonna
Uh,
work hard, but
okay.
when it comes time to be like, yo, I've worked, now I need to be in the
Yeah.
present and enjoy it because again, that would be one thing with the American. You're so busy trying to like hustle, hustle, you don't
Mhm.
enjoy being.
They call it the hustle culture.
Yeah, so maybe I could see what you're
Mhm.
saying, like the irie, the
Mhm.
sun in my face, the wind blowing, I'm sitting under my coconut tree,
Mhm.
sipping my coke. I could see that, sipping my pina colada because I
Yeah.
want to be in the present. Like, I don't get this day back. I don't get this time back. I don't get this whatever
Yeah,
back. So, yeah, you could
that's true.
hustle, but if you're hustling and you hustle for 20 years of your life, and now,
Yeah.
you understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying don't hustle, but I'm saying in the hustle, make time to also be present in that because
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to enjoy it because you've lost so much time and years that it's not going to, not that you can enjoy it, but I just feel like, yeah, you lose.
Now that's a huge lesson
Yeah.
and a very valuable lesson
Mm
is to stay
hmm.
present because
Mm
I think a lot of us are caught up with the on the hamster wheel. Gotta go,
hmm.
gotta go,
Mm
gotta
hmm.
do things, gotta go and be here, do this, that you do lose like sight of being present.
Mm
Yeah.
hmm.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then looking to and we're not saying you can't look to the future and not the past, right? Because there's a common
Mhm.
phrase in the Caribbean, don't look back. You're not going that way, right? And there's a thing
Mhm.
that says in your car when you're driving, your rear mirror is looking back because you need
Mhm.
so if you're so focused on looking back, you're gonna get an accident, you're gonna crash because you're so focused. So what's behind you is behind you. So,
Yeah.
what about
There's another saying.
right.
There's another saying about that too. Like your rear view mirror is small, but your
Mhm.
front window shield is so large because your future ahead of you is so bright and so
Right,
large.
right.
So yeah.
So I would
Hmm.
say, yeah. So any famous quote about pushing the message of not looking to the future, not the past that you think of?
No, just the one that I mentioned that they talked about, like your rear view mirror. It's small for a reason.
Mhm.
It's small for a reason, and your windshield is large.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's one iconic quote that Walt Disney said. It says, around here, however, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening new doors and doing new things. It's that pioneering spirit. So, and that being said, if you're always looking back, then you don't give yourself the full opportunity to embrace what's in front of you and what's out there for you to be able to receive
Yeah.
what you're able to, and you're always going to constantly be in this anxiety state also because you're looking
Yeah.
back. And the thing is, when you look back, you can't change it. That's the crazy thing is
No.
being realistic
No, you
with
can't.
yourself that the more you look back, you're wasting time, you're
Mhm.
wasting days, you're wasting precious moments that you can't change. You can't
Mhm.
unless somebody has designed uh one of those futuristic what is the movie
The time
called? Time
machine, the
Machine.
time
What's the
machine.
movie? Back to the
Mhm.
Future, that movie.
Back to the Future.
Yeah, unless
Yeah.
somebody has designed that you could go back to, then you
Yeah.
can't change it. And the thing is, if
Nope.
let me ask you this, a fun question. If y'all could go back to to the future. I don't know why it's called go back to the future, but I guess go back to, would you go back
Mhm.
to your past if there was an opportunity either to go to the future or the past, to in the past to be able to change stuff and the future to kind of see where you are? Would you take that opportunity? Since we're talking about this.
Mm. I feel like for some aspects I would, not everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think some aspects I would.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah.
For me?
Not to necessarily change things, just,
Mm-hmm. Right. Because I always feel like when you look at those movies about people that do have they're able to like time loop, right? There's a hole in the spectrum and you're able to
yeah.
go through. And they always like the message is like, one, don't make your presence in that world and that reality be known because you being there sacrifices any kind of there's the change. Anything you do, anything
Yeah.
you share, it's always consistently
Mhm.
never to change, never to make your presence known and stuff like that. Because I do believe whether it's the past or the future, one thing that you change could set. So for me, I would
Off.
say,
A domino
yeah,
effect.
I would say for me, I would not want to go back and I would not want to know. Like, I'm comfortable and satisfied where I am because I'm just maybe afraid of if I go back or I see that I may change it. And then now I'm living with, like, let's say I go to the future and let's say in the future I'm like a billionaire and all that. Then I will be like freaking out. Like I was like, well, how when it's gonna get, you know what I'm saying? When I come back to I will just be worried about when it's gonna happen. When I know I'm gonna be a billion, I think there would be like some form
Yeah.
of anxiety in me.
I have an opposite thing. I think opposite. I think like using that case scenario, if I went in the future and I end up being a billionaire and I come back, I think it'd be opposite to me. I think I would kick my feet up more like, well, it's coming. So
But that's the thing.
I'm just going,
But if you kick your
I'm
feet,
chilling. It's
but that's
coming.
the thing. You got to do some work to get there. You kicking your feet up, you may miss. That's what I'm saying. You now changing
Yeah.
what it
Okay.
would take for you to get that. Does that make sense? Because
True.
if you don't know,
Yeah.
yeah, then you wouldn't move. Like you said, you would change what you're doing, but changing what you're doing would cause a different effect.
Yes. Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like
I just like,
think about it because the billion dollar had to come from something that you did. So
yeah.
kicking your feet up and relaxing, what opportunities would you be now missing because now you know, but you don't know where it's that's what I'm saying. That would be the anxiety. Like how
Like at what point? That point. Yeah.
yes.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying.
And then I would not
But
want
I
to
don't
go in the past
yeah.
because I feel like again that's my perception, not that I'm perfect, not that I try to not live by regrets because I do the work in myself to grow and evolve as the years come, right? So I've made peace with my past. I've made peace with the things that I've gotten wrong. I've made peace with the things that I have not gotten right. I make peace very quickly with things in my life so that way I'm not holding on to no baggage to so that I'm not that's going to keep me from being present. I process things quickly, my emotion. It may I'm not saying quickly like oh in 24 hours. There's stuff that when it happens, I sit in there and I go through my emotions to be able to if it takes me a week to vent, I take that. If it takes me a day to meditate, whatever it is, so then I can be present and move on. That's how, but again, that's something that I had to learn, a life lesson that you learn how to process these things because I feel like a lot of times when
Mhm.
people have all these regrets about wanting to go back or that's just me, is because they haven't made peace in a way with certain aspects of what gone back and like we talked in another episode in this life lesson season, fully accepting themselves, right, accepting where they are,
Mhm.
accepting nature, nurture, all this other stuff, so then it becomes like this thing. So I would say that's another maybe.
If I was to go back, I don't think I'd be going back to change stuff. I think I'd be just going back to probably spend more time with people. I don't think necessarily. And it's nothing that I regret.
That would be
Well, that's
good.
just for me. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just for me. Yeah.
Yeah, but I understand that makes sense. Like if you could, like the question, dead or alive, you were to have dinner with somebody, who would it be, and stuff like that. Yeah, I could see that, like spending time with people. But yeah,
Yeah.
for me, I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I would still be too sad, like because I would feel like the only person literally, if I had to go back and maybe say I want to spend time with, is my dad, but
Dad.
it wouldn't change
Dad.
that he's
Yeah.
passed away. Does that make sense? So for me,
No.
I wouldn't want
No.
to
Yeah.
relieve, like I feel like I would relieve that emotion. So I'll be like I said, that's what I'm like. I made peace with certain things that I just like. I don't think I would want to feel. Well, maybe I don't know. That's something that you've given me something to think about.
Something to think about.
Yeah,
Something to think about.
yeah.
Definitely something to think about.
Yeah. Is there any
Yeah.
questions I would wanna
King.
know or question I would wanna ask? Yeah, that would be Okay. New
Yeah.
perspective. Didn't think about that.
Yeah.
But we talked about changing the future and embracing the momentum because we all in the Caribbean it says that change is only constant in life. How do Americans view change, and the what's this deal with embracing the momentum?
I think in the US, change is seen as an opportunity for
Hmm.
growth. For example, Elon Musk once said, some people don't like change, but you need to embrace change if the alternative is disaster, right?
Ooh.
And embracing the momentum is all about riding the wave of progress. So, yeah, that's sometimes a hard pill for some people to swallow, but I don't usually quote him, but yeah, definitely. Yeah.
That's funny.
There, he had a good point there,
Hey,
yeah.
these quotes are quotes that that has come up, thought quotes that we thought
In
so. Yes, in
conversations, yeah.
conversation. So if you guys have better quotes for us,
Mhm,
African proverbs,
mhm,
American proverbs, whatever Caribbean, we are more than welcome to look at all these quotes that maybe have helped you
mhm.
with this past, present, and
Yeah,
future. So please, the Live Me Crew, comment, share quotes that we could use, or even like because that's the thing. Because even quotes that are from Caribbean influencers or Caribbean authors and stuff like that, you guys know we're all about providing these resources as well to for your listening pleasure.
yeah,
I would say
yeah.
with
But
change,
unfortunately, change is
right?
inevitable. Like, I know some people don't like it, but it's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
We have to embrace that.
Yeah, and I think if
Yeah.
you don't change at the end of the day, you become comfortable and you could become,
Stagnant.
yeah, stagnant and
Mhm,
miserable sometimes because every day is uniquely different. Every day is a new,
mhm,
like they say, it's a new sunset, right? It's new life, it's new breath, it's something about the day. So if the day changes, then we should too, because
mhm,
that's just what they call it. That is the natural progress of the world in general. So as people,
mhm.
we're created to be and everything is connected. So if you don't want to change, then I don't know what you're gonna do because the earth's gonna keep moving, regardless if you don't want to change.
It's gonna move with or without you, with or
Yeah. And
without
the thing
you.
about it is, if you
So,
don't every day you're getting older, you're gonna grow old
yep,
anyway. So I feel like you cannot not look in the mirror and see the
yeah,
change happening in you, whether you are a willing participant
fence,
and
yeah,
in
willing or
that,
not.
and you gotta go with, sometimes I do believe you do gotta go with certain momentum, right? Just like example, this
Mhm,
podcast, we started it
mhm,
during COVID. That was a momentum. That was something that gave us momentum to do something different, take the opportunity. And sometimes I feel like when you do embrace the momentum, you just
mhm.
also never know how it's
Yeah,
going to change your life for positive. So it goes back to, if you're a listener, you listen to us and you're like, oh, you're struggling, just go with it. Go with where it's taking you. You could have something just like us talking to you and give you encouragement. You could have something that waiting for somebody else to change not only your life but somebody else's life. So I think when you go with
mhm,
certain momentum, it could change your life in such a beautiful way sometimes that you just probably never would have thought it, you know what I'm saying, that it would.
yeah,
So just be
yeah,
open to life is going to change and embrace
mhm,
momentum when it comes to you. It's
yeah,
like the waves. Again, I think that
mhm,
Caribbean vibe of just going with the flow, being able to be like,
mhm,
okay, I'm just gonna go with the wave. I'm just gonna go with this flow. I'm just gonna, it
mhm.
helps you
It
be
does.
open to that. I would agree.
Yeah, and it's like you said, the world is ever revolving, and for us to keep moving forward, it's just the spirit, the pursuit of American dream,
Hmm.
that just to keep pushing forward.
I
What about the Caribbean perspective?
feel like, so this is what I would say. I feel Caribbean that assimilates to a new
Hmm.
country, they are forced to go with the momentum and embrace. They
Yeah,
are,
yeah,
you cannot not
yeah,
embrace the change. You cannot
yep,
embrace that you gotta go with it because it's either sink or swim. You gotta work, you
yeah,
gotta pay bills, you got sometimes. So that, for me, I feel like
Yeah.
they do that really well. The ones back home, I think it goes back to sometimes being comfortable, right? Because it's your home environment
Mhm,
and stuff like that. So I think there's a 50-50 where you may or
mhm.
may not, you choose. I think there's a comfortability of just that's your home. And it might be a little bit more challenging because you're in the Caribbean.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be funny, but in the Caribbean,
it's
the
true.
vibe is different. So let's say,
Different, yeah,
just example, when
yeah.
it's time for Carnival in the Caribbean, not in the US, like, yo,
Mhm.
just like in New Orleans, there's days they shut the whole city down because it's Mardi Gras. So
They do.
imagine that
Yep.
from a Caribbean aspect, because it's a whole island.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah,
you can't, you understand what I'm saying? Like, you gotta go with
yeah,
that momentum, you gotta go with that vibe. And sometimes, because there's those kind of cultural thing, you want that, oh, it's kind of,
yeah,
it's just like the vibe. I
yeah,
feel like it gives you, it doesn't give you that American hustle and bustle if everybody in that same wave in the music and the chilling and all.
yeah,
So maybe
yeah,
that could be a little bit
yeah,
different.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see
But
that.
then it's embracing the chaos of life, right? Because
Yeah.
we know life could be chaotic. We're not
Mhm.
ignorant to that. But in the Caribbean, we say
Yeah,
embrace the chaos. So I feel like that's one thing with the Caribbean that I would say is true, is they
yeah,
live by that. They live by
yeah,
embracing
and they're
chaos.
resilient,
Yeah.
and resilient,
I'm going to
yeah.
talk about my Haitian people, but we all know in 2024 what's happening with Haiti, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We are not politicians. Disclaimer. This is
Yes.
life lesson that I've learned in my life when it comes to hate. There's certain things I'm just not gonna talk about this podcast,
Mhm.
but I am more than open to welcoming my Haitian people that know about this, that want to come on and educate us and our listeners about talking more about. We are open to this. Life lesson that I'm sharing with y'all is that there are certain things I stay in my lane when it comes, but Haiti's embracing the
Yeah,
chaos. And people, my
yeah,
Haitian people
yeah.
embracing the chaos.
The chaos, yeah,
Again, coming to,
definitely. That's a perfect example. That was an excellent
I don't know
example.
what else.
Excellent. No,
I don't know what
there
else.
is nothing else. That's it.
How do
Yes,
but how do
perfect.
Americans, how do you feel Americans embrace the chaos?
I think that one thing I think with Americans is that when chaos breaks out, they do come together.
You think so? Okay.
Everyone is for themselves on an every day-to-day basis,
Mm-hmm.
but when chaos comes, they definitely come together. Now, as individuals, I think as far as bracing the chaos, I feel like I could be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but I feel like people, I don't know if this is a people thing or if it's American thing, they tend to look for other like coping mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
They look for quick to look for coping mechanisms.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the beautiful thing that came out of the pandemic now is that therapy is not taboo
Mm-hmm.
anymore,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not taboo. So people are more susceptible to go and get help
Mm-hmm.
if they're living feeling like they're in the chaos.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would have to say. That's definitely what I would have to say.
I would agree with you. I
Yeah.
do agree that there are some people, again, we talk about COVID because I just feel like that's something that we all share and understand from, all walks of life, north, south, east, west in this world. We all know what this is or was. It's the fact that in the midst of that, we saw the different ways that people coped with this tragedy. And like you said, the anxiety, the separation, the human
Mhm.
interaction, people that
Mhm.
use again the momentum to start businesses, to highlight different things. There was just so many
Mhm.
different ways the world showed us how they dealt differently with these
Mhm.
chaotic things that was happening in their lives. So I do agree with you. We do have to understand that it's
Mhm.
going to be there and understand our ways of what resources is there for us to deal with the chaos in our life. Because if we think it's not going to happen,
That's true. That's important.
yeah, then I
It is.
think, but I
It
also
is.
think like with chaos, the American use it as opportunity too. I do think,
That's
because I do,
Thank you for pointing that out.
they,
I was trying to be, nice, but I'm glad you pointed that out. It's true. They will use that as an opportunity.
the
They will.
opportunity, like, again, COVID was a tragic thing, but like you could say we used COVID to start a podcast. That was chaotic,
That is
and we
true.
used it as an opportunity
As an
to do,
opportunity. Yeah, you're right about that. You're right about that.
an
Listen, yeah, a lot of Americans, they started businesses. People were like, I'm not going back to work. They found other ways to be resourceful,
opportunity.
to have income come in. So, yeah,
Because that was their way of
yeah,
dealing with and coping with the
yeah.
chaos. There's positive ways, and
Hmm.
there's in everything there's positive and negative, and that's how the world works. So I think
Yeah,
like you just got to find the positive in the midst of the opportunities. It's going to serve somebody, if it's not going to hurt people. I think that there is, because there's
yeah,
a quote by Robert Greene that says, in the midst of chaos there's also opportunity, so you got to be able to take
absolutely.
it. So
Absolutely.
then it's like,
Hmm.
why embrace change and keep moving forward? What's important about that?
You grow. Growth.
Mhm.
That's the biggest thing. Just to be able to learn how to handle things better, educate yourself,
Mhm.
and just be a better person. And the next time that there is a chaotic situation, that you can just handle it better.
Mhm.
You just now I know that I will come out of this.
Mhm.
I know the tools that I need to get through it. And yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I
I would agree. It keeps you're going to evolve. So that's what's
Mhm.
keeping you moving forward, because you are forever
Yeah,
evolving if you're being realistic with yourself. And in the Caribbean,
absolutely.
it's about being resilient. Like I said, like with the Haitian people
Yeah.
in 2024, it's understanding that their resilience, the community
Mhm.
of, and the
Mhm.
belief that no matter what the storm, it's not going to last forever. And I think
Ever. No.
and it's not only because I also don't want to leave out the condition that we are in right now, is that even in Africa, in Congo, and then in Palestine or
Mhm.
whatever, Ukraine, like there's a lot of things happening in the world, and you see people that are moving forward, they're being resilient, they're helping out each other together. So
Yeah.
that's also realistically looking at just not only ourselves, but the bigger picture, because we're all part of this
Yeah.
great big world. So I don't want to live like,
Bigger picture.
yeah.
Yeah.
And shout out, I'm giving shout out to all these cultures, because even though we talk about Caribbean versus American, but it just,
Mhm.
you're able to see it across a whole nation. As I think it's like
Absolutely.
the human business is that
Yeah.
when there's chaos, it's going to show that community
Mm.
embracing. We want to move forward. We want to live a good, peaceful
Yeah.
life. We
Yeah.
want to have,
And things could get better, and
right,
being optimistic that the things
right,
can get better. Yeah,
right.
being
And then
optimistic.
people
Yeah.
have kids, so they want to do better for the next generation. They want to do it better for their
Yes.
kids. They want to live this place a better place that they found it for their kids. So at the same time,
Yeah.
there's a human. I don't think it's Caribbean versus American. I think it's a human thing in general when
Yeah.
it
I
comes
think so
to
too.
that resilience and let's keep moving forward and things like that. The Liming
Absolutely.
crew, let us know what kind of mechanism, resources about moving forward that you've used to help somebody else. What have you seen in your own community? You don't have to be Caribbean. Share with us what you've seen in your community that has
Mhm.
been helpful, that you want to share to help other people in their community within themselves move forward in a positive way, because we're not about the shenanigans. Disclaimer.
Duh, you're absolutely right. Well, that was a whirlwind of a Caribbean versus American perspective on the past, present, and the future. It's fascinating how cultural differences shape our outlook on life.
Let's go to our tips for you, because we want to provide you,
Mm.
the Lyman Crew, with resources. So, tips,
Yeah.
tips. You put it to practice.
Number one.
Do what you choose.
Hmm.
Focus.
Is it? Is that a tip?
Well, that could be a tip if you want it to be.
It could be. Yeah.
Sorry. We're on one today. Tip number one. We are doing just that right now. focusing on the positive aspect of our lives. Right at y'all.
I mean, no one said that wasn't
There
positive.
you go.
Anyway, surround yourself with uplifting people and experiences.
Yep, that's true. Big thing in life. And
Yep.
then practice mindfulness technique to reduce anxiety because you can't get away from them.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Definitely is.
But hey, to our
Yeah.
listeners, whether you're sipping pina colada or, on a Caribbean beach or tackling, because that's where I want to be right now, on a Caribbean beach somewhere,
Yes.
or tackling
Yes.
or tackling the concrete jungle in the US, which is what we're doing right now. Remember to
Mhm.
embrace the journey, laugh in the face of chaos, and keep moving forward.
Thank you for tuning in, D Lyman crew. And those that are new and joining us, thank you too, folks. Until next time, stay cool and stay curious. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bye.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Unfiltered Liming podcast. We hope you enjoyed the conversation and gained some valuable insight. Don't forget to subscribe to the show so you can catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh, exciting content. And if you have a topic you'd like us to discuss or a story you'd like us to share, please reach out to us. Join us again next Thursday for another unfiltered conversation about the rich diversity and complexity of the Caribbean American experience. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep celebrating the unique cultural heritage that make us who we are. Unfiltered Liming is edited and produced by Unfiltered Liming.